Hello and welcome to this webinar on password management for business users. Cybersecurity and hacking is on the way up, and knowing how to protect your business is absolutely fundamental for its success. So passwords is a huge part for you and your team. Now, a quick disclosure alert. IT and security is constantly evolving. Your password policies need to be regularly reviewed and evolve with it. So we would recommend regularly reviewing them at least once every 6 to 12 months. But today, let's talk about password management and how to lock down your security. So first of all, we look at the basics. What are the basic things that you need to ensure your passwords are? Passwords for your security, for your data, for your software, and the passwords that you're going to allow your users to use. So first of all is use strong passwords. That means different characters, symbols, letters, numbers. Secondly, make sure they're unique. Do not let people use the same password or the same username and password for multiple software. The reason is that if one of those products was to be hacked, they then were to be able to get a user list. It would then show up as your username or your email address with a password. Guess what? That bot will then store that and it will try and log into other platforms using those credentials. So make sure that they're always unique. And then the other flip side to it is passwordless. Now, this is a technology that's really evolving. And especially if you've got Cyber Essentials in 2025 will be changing, and they are adding around passwordless. Now, this means that you're using other technology, things like biometrics, security keys, tokens, one-time codes, QR codes, or push notifications. So essentially, if you are using multi-factor authentication, you may not need a password or be as reliant on that password because you've got the other side to it, the multi-factor. So this is really where the industry is evolving. Now, we are hearing that the industry is trying to move away from text PIN numbers. The reason is that mobile phones can easily be hacked. So it's pretty easy for someone to hack into a mobile phone, then try and hack into your account and ping the code to the mobile. But multi-factor authentication, essentially, it's that additional step. So you type in your username and password. That's the first step. Then it will generally ask for an authentication code, which you then would go onto a mobile device. The reason that it likes an authentication code over a PIN number is that a PIN number goes straight to the mobile. With an authentication app, you need to put your PIN number in, whether it's your facial recognition, whether it's your fingerprint, to get into that app and then get the code. So there's additional layers of security for that, but they are the absolute basics. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't necessarily do. It's understanding and appreciating who owns the password. If the user creates and is in control of the password, this could cause you issues because it's their password, not yours. So what happens if they leave, whether it's planned or fast? You might find that you're stuck outside of programs and packages that you actually own and pay for, but you then won't have access. And some passwords are really important and others are not. And this is where it's making sure that the user is using the same login sequence. So you need to understand, what are you protecting from? So if you've got a main program that's got all of your customer data, confidential information in, you really don't want someone else to be able to log into that. You need to make sure that you've got a full audit trail and that you've got different layers of security. But if someone's using a similar password or the same password for lots of different ones, if they were to get hacked, then you might find that you're going to lose the really important data. So it's protecting your data, but it's also protecting your reputation. If the disgruntled member of staff was to email lots of your clients because you didn't lock them out of their email account, what would happen? It's not going to look good for the business. So you need to make sure that you're always in control of the passwords that all of your users are using. And if you're not using password management tools, then it makes it really difficult to do that. But overall, you just need to assess what are the internal threats and the external threats. Internal threats being, as I've said, it's the members of staff that may be able to still access their emails or company data so that they can then copy it and maybe take it to one of your competitors. The external threats is stopping anyone like a hacker trying to break into your software, your devices, your servers, and then being able to steal the data. But how is it best to store and control passwords? And please do not tell me that you've got all of your passwords stored on an Excel spreadsheet, because that is absolutely the worst thing you can possibly have. And remember, it's also, that is a single point of failure. If someone got hold of that spreadsheet, or maybe you've got it password protected, but what if they get the password to that spreadsheet? Then they really do have the keys to the kingdom. So the advice and the guidance is that you need to be using a password manager that you control. The reason it's so important is that then, one, you have overarching access to what your team have. So you will give them an account, they can then create passwords, but you can then stipulate that it needs to be a strong password. And also, if for any reason you need to lock that user out, you can one click of a button to lock them out of all of their passwords, as opposed to at the moment, if they just create their own passwords, then it could cause real issues for you trying to basically lock out that user and secure all of your business data and the software and programs that you use. The other thing is that it also allows for sharing of passwords. So a scenario might be, let's say you've got a shared Amazon account at the moment. You've got an Amazon account that the business uses, and you and 2 or 3 other colleagues order on that, whether it's office stationery or IT equipment or anything like that for the business. But let's say your colleague goes in, forgets the password, then updates the password. So they do a reset, new password. They then do an order. But what they haven't done is then how do they share that password with other people? So now all those other people are locked out. So then if they try and log in, guess what? They'll then have to reset the password, and it just continues round and round. With password management tools, you can say that it's a shared password and who has access to that. So that then, as and when the person tries to log in, it's just automatically updated, click of a button, nice and simple. The other thing as well that you need to remember is that if you're using multi-factor authentication and it's on that person's mobile, and if that person, let's say, God forbid, gets run over by a bus, you then will be restricted from accessing, because of course the multi-factor, whether it's a PIN, whether it's an authenticator, would go to that mobile phone that you no longer have access to. So this is where you need to make sure that you are using a password manager, because that will work as your multi-factor authenticator. So the person can click in it, it will then generate the code and they can then log in. But it means that multiple people can do it. Generally, with password management tools, you can have individual private passwords and also shared ones, but it just gives you that complete flexibility, and it means that you can make up the rules and you're in charge. But it's all about having that multiple layer and ensuring that everything happens to how you want it to. And the next element that a lot of people tend to overlook is, at the stage when you're onboarding new people, you need to be talking to them about passwords, making sure that you're educating the team continually. So re-education as technology evolves. The issue is that you've got people with bad habits. So they might be using the same password that they've used for 20 years because they remember it. But the problem with that is if they're always using the same password, if someone gets that password, then you can really be in trouble. So main thing is be in control of the passwords, you as the business, not the individual. So we've got some do's and don'ts. So this is a great slide to do a screenshot for. So don't have an Excel spreadsheet with all your passwords on. Don't write your password underneath your keyboard or on a post-it note. We've seen that all too many times. Make sure that you save the missed contacts on your phone. So don't ever have a password that you then save it under that contact. It's the worst thing that you can do, because if that phone was to get hacked or stolen, then the person would then be able to take additional information. Also, don't allow people to use their personal password managers. So if they've got Google account, or maybe they've got Edge on their personal machine, the issue with this is that if they're saving the password on their personal password manager or password keeper, then they're all mixed in with their personal passwords. And as I said at the beginning, the key is that the password is yours as the business, not the individual's. And don't use the same password on more than one program. Make sure you're always doing random passwords, and then if one gets stolen, it minimizes the impact to the business. And then finally, don't share your passwords. Everyone should have their own login and not share the passwords. So do update regularly. Now, this is a strange one, because if you're using passwordless technology, then it doesn't really matter about when to update. Certain passwords, we would say it's good for you to update maybe every 90 days, some 180 days, and maybe a little bit longer. But generally every 90 days, try and regularly update it. It's just good practice to do that. Second one is make sure that all of your main softwares have got multi-factor authentication switched on. Most platforms these days will offer MFA, 2FA for the users. But often, if you've been using this software for a long time, it might be something that you need to switch on rather than that software platform enforcing it. So just make sure that all of these securities are always turned on. Third one is use software for the passwords, proper password manager software. It's so important. The price point on it is generally quite low as well. So it's only, let's say, a couple of pounds if you're in the UK, or a few dollars if you're in America. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it can really save a lot of time and aggro, and it makes sure that all your password policies are being used properly. Also, ensure the company owns the password, not the individual. So don't let them create their own just willy-nilly, whatever they want. It's making sure that it's good, strong passwords, but also you're then in control of it. Enforce strong passwords, so lots of different random numbers, letters, etc. And train your team. It's so important, educating them all the way, getting them out of those bad habits, making sure that they really understand how important having individual passwords are. So we hope that you found that really interesting. We do have a couple of questions that I've seen have come in on the chat, but if you did want to connect with me, best place is probably LinkedIn. So you can find me on there just as Giles Cleverly, search that. And then it will be good to connect. We're always posting lots of different things, everything business technology related. So for all your latest updates, it's good to follow us on all the social media platforms. We've got literally hundreds of YouTube videos as well out there on pretty much every subject that a business could need when it comes to technology, whether it's cybersecurity, using technology better, best practice, or just what are the latest trends. So it's so it'd be great if you can reach out on there. And then let's just have a look at questions. What is the best password keeper? So this is an interesting one, because there's quite a few. I mean, LastPass did seem to be one of the industry leaders, but they've had quite a few issues of late with being hacked and things. So their kind of reputation has been a little bit dented. There are numerous other ones. We tend to recommend MyGlue. Really good, nice, simple product, relatively easy for the person to use. So it doesn't take too much training. And once they've got it set up, it's relatively quick and easy. So we generally say MyGlue is a good one. And again, if you did want details on that, you can always reach out to us. But there are a few different ones. Main thing is use proper password management tool. Don't just try and sort of fudge it with an Excel spreadsheet or something like that. You know. And then another question we got: how much to fix? I mean, well, when we say fix, I'm not quite sure what that means, but essentially, you just need to do a full audit of the business. What softwares is everyone using? And that's whether it's the marketing department, maybe using Adobe or Canva or something like that. Maybe you've got your ops department that are using like an ERP system or some kind of production management system. You've then got your accountants might be using accountancy software. So it's just making sure that you audit all of them, switch on your multi-factor authenticator, use password management to enforce the strong passwords, and then get people to update their passwords as they go. And the password manager will pull them in. So as and when they go to log in, it will be prompting to save those credentials using your password manager. So once you get rolling with it, it's relatively straightforward. And we'd say that if you do an all hands meeting, really explain about passwords and how password management is really going to help them. So it's well worth it. So, okay, well, I think that's all the questions. So thank you very much. Do reach out, as I say, Giles Cleverly on LinkedIn, or send me an email, giles@syn-star.co.uk. Thanks for watching.